Yeah, modernism and the past. The idea is that everything's new with modernism, right? Ezra Pound says, make it new. That's his directive to the European modernists. But then you go to T.S. Eliot and his essay, Tradition and the Individual Talent, and he says, in order to be a truly modern poet, you have to know your entire heritage all the way from Homer until today. The Middle Eastern modernists have the exact same approach. Why? Possibly because it's a little bit elitist. These poets went to school, they were educated in the Arabic tradition, some of them in folk ways, so they heard poetry from famous poets at home. This is very normal in Arab and Iranian culture as well. Arabs on the street even today will recognize a line from Mutanabbi, a 10th century poet. If you recited one, they'd say, that's Mutanabbi. So this is part of the culture. It's very vibrant poetry. But the Middle Eastern modernists, for the most part, were highly educated. They came from sometimes lower and middle class families, though. This is a new sort of feature of Middle Eastern society at the time because of the growth of secondary education, primary education, schooling. This is also a result of colonial involvement. So it's the British that set up a lot of the schools that these poets worked at or studied at in, say, Baghdad. You have missionary schools that are operating, teaching in French in Iran. Nima Yushish went to one of these. So these poets are becoming familiar not just with European literature, but they have the entirety of their cultural heritage behind them, and they're expected to know it very well. So when they go out to write this new poetry, that influence is very, very clearly there because they are so well grounded in the tradition that brings them to that moment. And we find the same thing with the European modernists, despite what Pound says, make it new. If you go into the wasteland, I'm using this as my reference point again and again. If you go into the wasteland, you're going to find references to the Bible. You're going to find references to the Divine Comedy. You're going to find references to popular music that was coming out in the 19-teens. You're going to find references to, of course, Shakespeare. Guess what happens when you go to the Middle Eastern modernists? You find the same mixture, because they're familiar with all these things due to the colonial involvement in their countries, and you're going to find references to Iranian folklore, Arab folklore, short story traditions, obviously the Quran, Islamically inspired things, Islamic mysticism, that is Sufism, so Sufi poetry, which dates back more than 1,000 years as well.